leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Car era lore. Call me Levi playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Bordy.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below. Then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. We greatly appreciate it. It warms up the algo and lets everyone know we're here. As always, I'm Cap Jim, I'm my co-host Steve. Never any financial advice on the show. Crypto is risky, NFTs are risky, meme coins exceptionally risky. Go to zero to moment's notice. Please don't put any money in you can't afford to lose. And know that Steve and I will hold tokens we talk about from time to time here on the show. We're not financial advisors, certainly not yours. Don't follow us for that financial advice. Just join us for some fun, some information, and education along the way. Friday morning, we got round 2 and 3 tonight. We'll get out of the cold open real quick, but we got to get a little NFL draft talk in, and then we will get rolling. All things Web3 today. GM Steve, how you doing, sir?
GM. Hopefully people are finding their way to the space. Give us a like or retweet, a comment on it. When I tried to get into it initially, it said this space is unavailable. Then I tagged you in the war room, and then it did work for me when I went back and tried. So hopefully people can get in, but give us a like, a retweet, a comment on the space. As we mentioned, we do this effectively for free. Hopefully we can get some sponsors here and there that are able to lock us in to keep doing it. But the way you can thank us is likes and retweets. Of course, we do appreciate the tips on Abstract as well. But generally speaking, that is a great way to help us out. GM Von Frunten, who is a triple GMer at all times. GM RDL, GM to Hizzy, Mesh over bright and early. Good seeing you out there as well. Teacher Katie in the chat, as always. Sad, I know Thomas is missing this morning, but loved the shout out yesterday, so I'll give him a shout out if he ends up listening. Back to us, GM Jashaka, looking at the X space. Like I said, like read and tweet and comment on the X space if you would be so kind, because there's definitely a little bit of a bug going on X this morning, a lot lately, actually. So any help you give us there. GM Girl in the Verse, love seeing you out there every morning. Appreciate you as well. Congrats on the move out or the gig out in Dubai that you're going to be doing for Token 2049. Actually, probably going to have Profits up here in about a half hour just to talk about. Give a little shout out to anybody going to Dubai for something she's doing out there. Dobbins, she was nice enough to reach out and invite us to something yesterday. I'm like, not making it out to Dubai, unfortunately. Cheddar, Beanie McFly, Dwayne, Shimmy, Agent, Aspiring Nobody, Finish Strong, Agree, Booching, Mel, always out here, always crushing it. Mel, I actually need to get an email address from Mel and get her on Tuesday for Coffee with Captain. Big Bear, always good seeing you out there as well. Would love to get Big Bear a pull on Coffee with Captain at some point here too in the future. We got a long way to go though. General Wags, always out there holding it down. Clay, Hizzy, Chief, Digital Dad, Kazi, Maria, every single morning, as well as Diablito, Brickadol, Das Scrub, Mesh, and the multi-chatter as well. Good to see you all out there. Hit us with the GMs, hit us with the likes, hit us with the retweets, hit us with the comments. Cap, I mean, yeah, like we definitely get a little NFL draft talk. Oh, Diego out there as well. Good to see Diego in the chat too. I don't know why he wasn't showing up. It's weird. Diego just backfilled in the chat. Oddly for me, so that was weird. Showing as 11:53 p.m. last night, so maybe that's just a local time for Diego. But Cap, we can talk a little bit NFL draft. My Browns traded out of the second position. I was really mad at first. As a process guy, I am really happy we're not going to be living in purgatory. GM Dunk Cookie, good seeing some other folks out there as well. I know you were disappointed, but they got an absolute haul. There are 2 second-round picks coming up today. They got the 5th pick overall, so they only moved back 3 spots. They have Jacksonville's first for next year, which is draft capital. If Jacksonville's good, not great, but if Jacksonville is even in that 10 to 20 range, Browns are going to be in the top 10, so they're going to have some stuff to package together to potentially work some things out there. That's exciting for that. So just for me personally, like I was bummed. I wanted to see Travis Hunter in Cleveland. It was going to be fun. I'm content stinking and continuing to build with people like Mason Graham on the defensive line. Don't look back at previous statements I've made about Mason Graham when he's at Michigan. Those are no longer valid and don't count. We can eliminate those and strike those from the record. I never had a bad thing to say. I always thought he was going to be a great pro and a great guy. Definitely didn't have choice words about him on and off air. So I'm happy with the outcome. I was bummed when I saw the trade. When I saw what we got from Jacksonville, I was happy. Jacksonville's betting on a generational two-way player, and good for them. But I'll take the trade and just hope that our GM doesn't, because our GM could screw it up, but what are you going to do? Like, you can't, like you like at some point you got to pick, but like the Browns stink. Arch Manning's coming out next year. So I'm happy with the outcome. I'm happy with the Browns.
Good. Glad you're happy as a Browns fan. That's what's important. I hated it. It's fine analytically. As first thing I said, like, yeah, analytically it makes sense if you just look at the draft picks by themselves. But I do think the 2 to 5 drop this year, like it's a massive tier drop in the player they got, and I don't have faith in the Browns. Like I honestly, I wish they would have, after doing that, I wish they would have traded down again and got added even more. It's fine. It's just the defensive tackle is not going to. I don't even know if it like completely frees up Myles Garrett. Like he's fine. He's a fine player.
Oh, it's huge to add to Myles Garrett. It means that it's harder to double Myles Garrett. Yeah. And Mason Graham is like a large part of the reason the national championship Ohio State Buckeyes lost to Michigan. He's a absolute game wrecker in the middle of the defensive line, which I wouldn't have said before last night, but it's true. I would have known it in the back of my head and never said it. I think it's like the same thing as like it's the unsexy O lineman draft for a team that stinks. Like they're bringing in the ghost of Joe Flacco to play quarterback next year. So he's dust. Their wide receivers could use some upgrades. And I like what you're saying. I agree. Like the lack of faith in Andrew Berry and the Browns brass to like actually draft good players. But I mean, at that point, what are you going to do? You're basically just saying you're going to suck anyway. So they get two bullets to shoot in the second round now, or they could do another trade potentially. And next year, they make a play and, you bank on the Browns being good in like 2028 and call it a day. Like that's sort of what we're doing here. And I would rather see a team bottom out and do something like this than, Von Frunton mentioned it. The Colts are in purgatory, like as an example. Like the Colts are in purgatory. I don't want to be in NFL purgatory. I need guys. So, I don't know. I know you disagree, but I am more than happy for this team to stink again because they were going to stink anyway and start to shore up that play. They signed Miles.
I agree. I think even if they draft Hunter, it's still a rebuilding year, certainly. But there's a lot more to be excited about this year. And he's a difference maker. He's I don't even think generational talent is doing it fair. Like we don't see a player like him once in a generation. And it just puts a lot of pressure on the Browns, on the GM that now they've got to run pure. Like they've done that. And they also don't have the greatest track record. I've used the example. I heard someone this morning compare it to the trade that, they did a similar, traded a first round pick, traded down in the first round several years ago to get extra picks the following first year, or get an extra first the following year. And that ended up being, where the Falcons drafted Julio Jones for the Browns to get the right to draft Brandon Weeden the following year.
If your argument is that the Browns have been horrible at draft picks, you will get no argument from this Browns fan.
Yeah. So that's it. And I just don't think, I think that the Jags could actually be decent. They play in a very weak division, are debatably the weakest division in all the NFL, or at least I'll say a division that literally no one would be surprised if anyone ends up winning that division. Maybe the Titans, but even who knows? Cam Ward could come out and light the world on fire. And it's a toss up. Anyone could win the division. They very well could be a playoff team. And you're going to be like, I think the trade it's no one knows, it's all speculation at this point. A, how the players are going to do, B, who they're going to end up with these picks. But I think when it's all said and done, I think they're going to regret trading a once in a century type player for a few extra bodies. Like you take the elite talent when you can draft an elite talent. And I feel pretty strongly about that. There was if you needed a quarterback, sure, Ward was fine. There was really two almost lock elite talents, like lock superstars to the next level in this draft. And they had a chance to get one of them. And
they're the top prospects, right? There's when you're grading prospects, it's hard. You can't say like Trevor Lawrence was a lock and he stunk so far in the NFL. So it's I think
quarterbacks are very tough to call. I think a player like Travis Hunter, his skills translate. I would be shocked. It would be one of the most shocking things of all time if he is a flop. He's not quarterbacks can flop all the time. It's a very, very difficult position. His skill set is very transferable. He should be a star at the next level. The only question is, how many snaps does he play on offense? How many snaps can he withstand? Can he stay healthy at the NFL load? Because it's just he's not the type of player that you see bust. It's just he's a lock. He's a lock to be a superstar, not only on the field, but he's also going to bring in a ton of, sell a ton of jerseys. He's going to pack the stadium. It's an exciting player. The intangibles are there. And he seems like a good kid. I don't think these players, there's not one in every draft. That's my point. Is it was a very, in most years, I can't think of another year I would have not liked this draft, this trade. This year, I think very high. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I read on Hunter.
That's why the price was so high, though. That's the point.
I just don't think it was that high. We've seen other bigger packages. We've seen other, we've seen other, deals like this where teams really, the NFL's known. Look at the Herschel Walker trade. There's been trades throughout history that.
If you're referencing a 50-year ago trade before they had the actual draft analysis for what a good trade is, fine. But if we can find something in the past 10 years where, and I know you're going to start, you got to hit the ChatGPT machine, but we moved back 3 picks, got a first round for next year, the second round for this year, which is a huge pick. It's to move back 4 picks and still get one of the top players in the draft that people have as a top 5 prospect. And again, as a person who talks about can't miss players, Courtney Brown was can't miss. Talk about another Penn State guy. I think about him. Kevin
I
White
never
comes.
like see. I don't even think Courtney Brown and Travis Hunter are even remotely close to the same player.
No,
Or,
like it's not. I'm saying like when you talk about like these can't miss guys
I never thought Courtney Brown was can't miss.
Courtney Brown and the Kevin Whites, who was like a can't miss guy in the top 10. Like I think about him. So there are those guys. Vernon Golston.
Kevin White was very much like he did not have a full profile. Like I listened to thousands of hours of this stuff. Like it's like
I also listened to thousands of hours of this stuff. So we're gonna have thousands of hours off right here.
Kevin White was never a lock. He was a very risky profile and 50-50. Like he was a coin flip to be a bust, and he ended up being a bust. Like he's a very different player. Never in my life did I think I thought he was a bad pick when they took him. I never thought it was a lock. Like Travis Hunter is a lock.
They got more out of this trade than you get out of a trade in that position going from 2 to 5 for a reason, because Travis Hunter is considered to be an elite prospect. I would love to have him in the Browns. Don't get me wrong. I was very excited about it, but I'm very excited to potentially play the Manning sweepstakes next year. I'm excited to have 2 first-round picks next year. I agree with my man Von Frunten. I was reading another Von Frunten comment. I agree with my man Crypto Pain, who says Jags are a poverty franchise. They'll still end up sucking. I agree. The disrespect to Ohio State legend CJ Stroud in that division, I think they'll be good next year. I feel very good about that trade because the Browns are going to suck next year anyway. I don't need them accidentally winning some games. I need them sucking. An 0-17 season would be wonderful, where they were somewhat competitive. And then the Jags being in the top 5 as well. And then we ride from there. It's just, I get it. He's a great player. He's really talented. I love the trade because right now, one player is not going to fix things. Getting a couple of really strong starters in the second round is the goal, right? If you're a GM, you want to get starters in the second round. If they get 2 starters in the second round, they got a starter in the first round, I'll walk away with 3 starters and go into next year trying to make a big splash rather than this. So I am good with that. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to see, like, I would have loved to have Travis Hunter, but I personally love the trade and all the assets you got. You know, Jacksonville definitely paid a premium. It's one of the bigger ones where I'm generally hearing, again, you never know until everything plays out. I think he'll be a good player at the next level. I'm like, the people I trust the most saying that like this was a fleece is all I need to hear. And it is my day to be happy about the Browns, making a play, they got a very good player instead of an elite player. They got a player who could be great at the next level and have a long NFL career. Got 2 picks coming up tonight and 2 first-round pick next year. I'm happy with it. I understand your consternation.
The one that sticks out, I mean, the Julio Jones one because it was the Browns. But in recent, if Herschel Walker's too far back, in recent years, I'm a Niners fan. The Niners gave up not 1, not 2, 3 first-round draft picks to move up to 3 to draft Trey Lance. So that's my point. Like Trey Lance was never viewed as a generational or once in a century type prospect as Travis Hunter was. And that was in 2021. They gave up 3
widely regarded one of the worst trades of all time too, for a reason. Like, I mean, that's a horrible trade. It was a horrible trade at the time. And afterwards it was a horrible trade. So yeah, I mean, like, could the Browns have tried? I'm sure the Browns did try to demand that, but you know, getting the first rounder and the second rounder is still a absolute shit kicking to me in that trade. So I'll take it. Trey Lance, that is a good example of one of the worst ones of all time that people widely regard. I don't know how they fell in love with it. And then they fell into Brock Purdy in 2022. So that was a nice win for them and Mr. Irrelevant. So it worked out. But yeah, I don't know. Like Von Frunten is trying to get us back on track, just like the War Room. Browns getting floor picks instead of a Grail.
That's it. Yeah, they traded a couple floors for a Grail, and I would prefer the Grail. That's where we're at. I mean, there's been multiple. It's not just Trey Lance. Like RG3, solid quarterback, got 2 first. There's been multiple times where teams gave up multiple firsts to move. What was
RG3, like 2014 or something?
2012.
Yeah. So I mean, again, like the point is, I think inadvertently from where I sit, you're kind of making my point for me that this rarely happens. And the 2 examples you've given, it did not work out for the team that traded up. A team traded up for a Heisman Trophy winner, giving them multiple first-round picks, and it didn't work out. Like, it's just so. In the 2 examples you gave, it did not work out for the trading team, and the team that got the trade, it worked out better for. So I would argue that you are making the point there. It's really good. But I mean, the
team that got the trade because they got multiple first-round picks. That's my point. Is I think they could have got more They should have got more. If they're going to give all these other examples were prospects that weren't on the level of Travis Hunter.
People loved RG3. People loved RG3 in that draft. But either way, like I get what you're saying. I don't know. We
first round picks. Like that's my whole point. Is people love Travis Hunter. Like it's for those players, regardless of what they did in the NFL or not, at a prospect level, they were I think on the same level or not as generational of a prospect.
Where did those people trade down to? Where did 49? Where's
like they're all like 5 or 6.
I want to see where San Fran traded down to, and I want to see where or where
San Fran gave 3 first to move up to 3
from
the 12th that year, and then the following 2 years.
Yeah, there's a huge fucking difference between 12 and 5. Like that's those. So that's no. I mean, but
I don't think so. Not in this year's draft. 12 through 5 was pretty flat.
Bro, now this is like, look, I get you didn't like the trade, but like moving 3 spots back is a significant difference than moving back to 12. Similar, I'm curious about the RG.
In most drafts, and this one it wasn't though. There was a huge tier break. There was a huge tier break. Huge tier break. Like everyone knew. It's like why we all knew that the first 3 picks were going to be Ward, Hunter, and Carter, because those were locks. Like that was a huge tier break. Like
yeah, but they don't get Mason Graham.
We went 4 as like the 20th ranked pick. Like this is like go back and look at all the mocks. Like everyone was consensus agreed on the first 3, and then from 4 on is when they said the draft started because everything was up in the air. Like there was a huge.
I think you would have a very hard time arguing with NFL draft nicks that trading back to 5 is the same as trading back to 12, even in this draft. That is I
think it's the same.
That's actually that's one of your wackiest takes of all time, right there.
It's the same.
It's a wild take. That is a wild take. Like
that's not what I said though. I didn't say it's the same.
No, but like that's the point. Is like you give up more draft capital because you're moving someone all the way back to 12 versus moving back 3 slots. Like that's a huge difference. It's a massive difference. And that's why, like, when you talk about like those comps, that is not the 49ers one. That is a comp. That's one now. That one is fully out the window. But yeah, I'd have to look at the RG3 trade and see where Washington was moving up from as well. So that's a better comp. That is a much better comp, is the RG3 trade moving up. Although they moved up to 1, right?
To 2.
Yeah. I mean, so it's about the same then. It's about the same. So that one I would say is a better comp to say, look, they got more for RG3 again over a decade ago. But yeah, I think I don't know. Like that's I get what you're saying. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Travis Hunter is a generational talent. The good news is now I have like, and the other thing is like, look, I'm saying this as a fan, and I'll kind of get us out of here with this because we're not going to agree on it. I am excited as a fan because not only do I get to root for the Browns to lose next year because they're going to get a higher pick, which is a fun pastime in Cleveland, but I also get to root for the Jaguars to lose. So each week I have 2 teams that I can watch deeply in hoping that they lose football games. But should be a fun, exciting year for me on that as well. I'm happy with it. I like Travis Hunter. He wasn't going to light the world on fire. Might actually win the Browns a couple games potentially, which isn't a good thing when you're going for Arch Manning. So I'm pretty happy with the way that we have gone about it. So I'm not upset about it. I hope we don't take Shedeur Sanders in the 2nd round. I have a sneaky suspicion we might, which makes me sad. But anyway, I digress. Let's get some Web3 stuff going on. It's enough cold open. Like, retweet, comment on the room. I know we're just under 100 in the room, so help us get some people here on this wonderful Friday. There are some space glitches this morning. Cap, I got a little bit of a tick list here. Not a ton here. PENGU is ripping after Luca Netz said that he is, by a Texas mile, the most important person to Web3 IP. I don't know if you saw that in an interview. He's been on one lately, which is, you called for it a couple weeks ago when you're like, just be that guy. He's being that guy. He's making the big calls, and then he said, he said, I am the most important person. I got to find the exact quote, but it's like most significant person by a Texas mile. You might be right. But I think some other Web3 IP people might have something to say about that. Markets generally up. It's always good to see that. Like I said, PENGU on that ripper, I think 40% up. I checked my Abstract Global wallet and was beside myself today because it's been pretty depressing to look at. But even ETH is up, which is when you know things are really ripping. We got SWE up 20% in 24 hours, which is a big one. So that
Is
was
that
ripping.
it?
What's
I
that?
really, is that how you say it?
Is it Sui? I've always said I've said Sui and Sui.
I've been saying Sui, but so you're probably right.
So Sui, let's go with that up 24. I've heard it both ways, to be honest. NFTs ripping in some ways, not necessarily floor prices, although I haven't checked those. Someone said I got Luca's quotes mixed up. So correct me on Luca's quotes then in the chat. I have heard a couple of quotes. I heard him talking about Pudgy Penguins to a being Hello Kitty. PENGU, he said, was going to go to $10 billion. And there was one other really big one that he said, Abstract will be a top 5 chain. Yesterday, I saw a tweet where Lucas said specifically something about being the most significant person to Web3 IP by a Texas mile. I can try to watch that exact one, but I'll read the exact quote in a minute here after I hand it back to Cap. I can find it because someone shared it in the war room yesterday, and I remember Riggs being like, I'm not going to watch that right now. But he had seen part of the interview and said that he was doing a good job PR to his base. I was going to say NFTs, Tyler Hobbs selling for 140 ETH, Rare Pepe Nakamoto card selling for 70 ETH, and a CryptoPunk selling for 50 ETH. So NFTs on the sales as well. Cap, what are your thoughts on that? I don't know if it'll play in the background here. Let's see if it plays if I put the music on real quick. Actually, we'll see. Let's see. Tell me if you hear this. Nothing?
No.
All right. I could probably actually share it. I think if I share audio and tab. Yeah, here we go. All right, let's do this. So we'll listen to Luca's quote. I've been told that I am misquoting Luca in the chat. I want to see if I believe my quote that I said was something along the lines. We'll see how close I was. That he said, I'm the most important person at Web3 IP by a Texas mile. It's at the end here. So we're going to listen to Luca's thing for it here and see how wrong I am. Let's see.
I put like $5 million buying PENGU over the last couple of weeks. It's a lot of fucking cheese.
Sure.
Thing is, you can't control it.
Yeah.
It's physically non-controllable.
Yeah,
it's down from where I bought it.
Yeah.
Right. I couldn't hold the price.
Uh-huh.
Right. But not to say that I thought it was a good price and a good entry for me. What it is. I thought I could hold it to some extent, but neither here nor there. The point of the matter is you can't control this.
Yes.
This is controlled by tailwinds that whatever.
Yeah.
But if you continue to grow this, it will create moments where it will bounce, right? Because eventually there is a certain price in which the PENGU token,
you'll find your bottom.
You will find the bottom because this is very prevalent and important.
Yes.
There is a lot, like today, Pudgy Penguins is the most popular crypto native IP ever.
Uh-huh.
Crypto native IP is the most important thing. So if crypto is going to win, you don't think crypto native IP is going to win, right? Like crypto, I am the best, biggest, most important representative and bastion of crypto native IP and character and community in crypto by a Texas mile. Sounds
like I got the quote almost exactly correct. Just for the record, Abstract Chat address, who said that I mixed up the quote. So there you go. I actually, my weird memory, I'm telling you, I have a disease. There are things that I will quote about crypto. Like I remember somebody when the Moonbirds team needed a comms person, and there was like somebody who pitched me for a Moonbirds job and said, Steve has a weird, almost photographed memory of the most nuanced shit in NFTs. So I don't know, Cap. I think I was pretty close. Was I pretty close?
I think it was verbatim, if I'm not mistaken.
So there you go. So anyway, that's what he said as he was talking about the 5 million PENGU he bought. So for the record, Steve did not mix up Luca's quote. So not that there are very few things and very few hills I generally will die on or things I will say about myself that I'm not good at giving myself positive reinforcement. I am good at that sort of thing. I am good at random, like when we were writing the book, Scott would be like, we need an example of a token gated sale for specific collections. I'm like, boom, I got you covered. Let's go Adidas. I could do a whole write-up on it. He's like, okay, but what about like a phygital example? Boom, Pudgy Penguins got you. Scans a toy in a store. Okay, we need an IRL example of someone leaning into something. We got doodles. Like, I'm very good at this for some reason. Like, that is one of the very few things I'm good at. So there you go. Quote's almost exact. I will OXBACC that ends in 95B7. I will accept apology via PENGU tips in the chat if you'd like to do so. But anyway, so that happened. Now that we've got that settled to put the train back on the tracks. So we've got a lot of things going on. And then, by the way, something to potentially discuss with you as, wireless guy, AT&T and Helium. I know you're not an AT&T guy, but pretty big deal. You know, and we'll talk helium a little bit. I got a more on it, but did you happen to see that one?
I did, just the headlines, but I did see it. Before you jump into that though, I'm like, you really think it's just that video clip it sent PENGU? Like,
no, I don't. Sorry, go ahead. But I don't.
The SWE is up big. You know, it's another big winner on the day. But it was on the back of their like some sort of Pokemon rumor. No.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, so that makes sense. I get like the PENGU is on a ripper, and I just like there's got to be something more than just that video clip. I would think.
Oh yeah, definitely more than that video clip. But I do think there is some confidence in Luca buying. Maybe he dropped another 5 million on it. I don't know. But like Luca saying he dropped 5 million, I think does add confidence. I also think like there comes a point. Again, I'm not a meme coin guy, but somehow I ended up like it's like those things where you walk around and like you've made life decisions and you're like, how did I end up in this random room here? Like even in a good way, like when we were in like a random room in like Jay-Z's club or whatever the hell it was in New York and like the back room in some party and we're just like for NFT stuff, we're like, how do we end up here? Somehow I ended up as a PENGU guy, right? Like I bought this along the way. I've never been a meme coin guy. I bought leading up. I had a theory on it. And so I'm not a meme coin guy, but I do think there's a bottom at some point. And I do think there's a community at some point that's there. And there's a ton of holders and there's a vibrant, active community in the chat of this PENGU X like sort of community and these different Telegram chats. So at some point it was going to find a bottom. I don't know that I expected it to rip basically this much. I mean, like, again, like a 50% rip in a day. But pretty
in back-to-back days, no? Like,
yeah, actually, let's check on that. Because I think you're right. I think it is a double ripper, right? Because we both saw our PENGU kind of up yesterday. Do you have enough PENGU to get the abstract bonus in your account? Is that there?
88,000.
Yeah, the 88 or whatever. But yeah, so it's actually been ripping for about 4 or 5 days. So April 22nd. So I got the 1 week chart up if you're watching the stream. So April 22nd, we hit April 21st, 22nd, we sort of hit a bottom there at, I'm going to go with market cap here because market cap.
I mean, nearly 2x since the 22nd, nearly 2x in the last 48 hours plus.
Yeah.
It's back up to, $500 million market cap.
Yeah, it was so for people who aren't watching, what Cap's calling out here, a $310 million market cap on April 22nd. So earlier this week, 3 days ago. As of this morning, we are sitting at a $562 million market cap. So yeah, a near 2x in a very short order and very short time frame. We kind of mentioned that the markets in general are kind of ripping, but like, yeah, I mean, maybe this is just maybe the PENGU thesis is the meme coin thesis.
So Dobbins in the chat. Luca's just most important person in crypto. Web3 IP sounds a little arrogant. It's cringe. Like you want your founders, your devs to be confident. Aggressive statement.
Aggressive statement for sure. I don't know. Like, how do you feel about the statements? How do you feel about, because you said on this show a few weeks ago, you want Luca to have that "fuck you, I'm the man" mentality. We talked about it like maybe a month ago. How do you feel about his statements recently about the future of PENGU, the future of this IP, the future of Igloo, the future of abstract as a chain, and now today saying, I am the most, like, I think it plays to his base well. I think it gives them something to repeat. Be Epic asked who's bigger, who is a bigger bastion of, as he said, a bastion of Web3 IP by a Texas mile. He's the biggest by a Texas mile. Who is within that Texas mile to you if you're talking Web3 IP? Snoop Dogg? I don't know. Who are you thinking?
Well, that's why I pause, is like the who is bigger. I think it's more of like the how. I mean, I would say Gary. Yes, Gary V is as big.
Boom. That's your answer. The disrespect again on everyone's end, including us, for not immediately saying that. Gary V.
It's the first one I thought of in my mind. And then, I mean, Beeple. I guess because he used himself, that's the best way to overcome the apes and Bored Ape Yacht Club and Yuga. Had Gordon not had the health issues and he still been the front person there, I would say probably Gordon, because of as far as what that has done to push Web3 IP forward. But as far as an individual, yeah, Gary's probably my answer. And like you could debate it. That's why this, like, to say buy a Texas Mile is the interesting part, when I don't know. I'm just trying to put myself in Luca's head. The toy distribution, like why would, like, just really believes that PENGU is going to be like a household brand name. I'm just not sold on that yet.
I think what he's saying here, which I
think there's a better chance like VeeFriends is a household name in 20 years from now than
Pudgy Penguins.
Pudgy Penguins. Maybe not even better chance, but I think it's a toss up. Like either could be. It's just not clear to me that one is like, oh, this is the runaway winner at this point.
Yeah, two things. I want to get to a couple things in the chat because we got our guy B Epic, who I actually tagged yesterday. Luca asked who are the biggest PENGU proponents, and I'm like, if you didn't have big B Epic and Bo Security tagged here, then you're missing out. So I think I appreciate B Epic always defending the wall on PENGU and Penguins. Meme coins, and the other thing about PENGU. So two things here. I want to hit the meme coin thing because Rare Ad, we have a couple of my favorite abstract chatters going at it. Always add to the show, which I appreciate. Rare Ad says meme coins rip most when Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol moves. It has something to do with the tokens being at max supply, no inflations, and in LP with native coins with inflation. Here's the thing, Rare Ad. Here's why I'm so excited about the PENGU rip this time is previously, from what I've seen, PENGU has not ripped when Bitcoin and ETH ripped. And that was my concern when we would be doing the daily market updates here, because we've been staying close to the chest on this one. Or close to the streets on this one. We have noticed that meme coins rip when those rip, but PENGU didn't. And it was concerning because Bitcoin would be up like 10%, 5%, and PENGU would be up like 3%. We'd be like, well, that's not good. That's not what we're looking for. The Epic saying VeeFriends, here's the thing. Because B Epic says Gary Vee has been absent on apps in the past 2 years in the timeline. He hasn't been fully absent, but he hasn't been as active. But part of that is the regulatory environment, which he was concerned about, which I understand. Luca just said, let's blow through this popsicle stand. He doesn't care. But Gary has been going to card shows. When you talk about IP, he's gotten it in the hands of people who are not native with his cards. He has created children's books. He has sold toys through Toys R Us. He worked with Squishmallows, which is a massive brand. I don't think people understand what a massive brand Squishmallows are. My daughter, kids, they love these things. He did the deal with them. He did the deal with Mattel, where he got toys into people's hands. He did the deal where he has the YouTube show that's going on by the creators of Cocomelon. Like when you talk about,
not to mention, he has hosted and pulled off three of arguably the three of some of the best conferences in this space that had more people from outside of this space than probably the rest of the conferences combined in terms of like really influential people, speakers. Like that's something. Like all those individuals, they know very well of the VeeFriends brand and VCon. Like it's just like, I don't think it gets near enough credit for actually pulling off those conferences to the level.
Pat McAfee is the largest personality in sports right now. Pat McAfee talks about VeeFriends like once every 3 months on his show in some way, shape, or form. Like literally, like he brings it up, like he mentions VeeFriends. So I think it's safe
to say they might be talked about, like as far, if you, I don't know how to say this, like the ratio of like brand awareness outside of crypto to how much it's talked about on crypto Twitter, it's probably it's just a chasm with VeeFriends, I feel.
That is a and again, I know we're there's two things. One, and we'll go to Jonah here in a second because I always love I love Jonah's takes in general, but the thing I'll say in the chat is like I know people are saying this, like you have to bifurcate like NFT Twitter from the real world. And yes, like in our small niche corner of the internet, I would say that Luca does a tremendous job securing the base and doing that job. I think Gary is much bigger outside of it. And I think VeeFriends has probably been talked about in more areas outside of it. And he's being more active on the timeline now. And he's getting people to PFP those VF2s. He's getting more people into the community. It is a well-run brand. So I think, like, the thing about it is, I don't want to come across as we're putting Luca down and pushing Gary up. I just think when he says buy a Texas Mile, makes a statement like that. And
well,
you have,
I don't answer the question. I don't know how I feel about it. I do want, like, it's a tad aggro. Like, I appreciate the confidence, and I think it's needed in a founder. I was kind of calling for this a couple weeks ago. It's just like, it's aggressive.
Yeah,
I don't even know how I feel about it. Like, it's like, I guess I'd rather have this than a wet floppy noodle. So yeah, it's like, believe in what you're building. I can't debate that. Like, it's aggressive.
Yeah. So I think that's it. It's like, and to me, like, look, I actually love, I'm perfectly happy. I'd rather have Luca, that to your point, than the converse. And I think it's like, it's hard because he's right there with Gary. So it's like, I think it's that last statement where he's like, I'm the biggest one by a Texas Mile. It's like, Gary, you, like, let me put it this way.
You know what? Gary wouldn't say the same thing, but he would say the same thing worded differently.
And
but
also,
have the same feel, but feel similar about himself. I think.
Let's just not forget when Gary ran the biggest Web3 conference that turned into a just general culture conference. Pudgy Penguins had a booth in Vendor Village, not running the conference. So there's something to be said there about, like, he's a believer and he loves Pudgy Penguins, but Luca had a booth at the VCons, not, he's the VCon guy. So I think there's some nuance there, and I think they work really well together. I think they're both great. So I don't want to put Luca down, and it's not putting Luca down. I think it's just saying there's a good conversation to be had there versus the Texas Mile thing. But Jonah, you've been patient. You've been waiting a hot minute. Go ahead and get in here, GM.
Yeah, I do think by Texas Mile that it's Luca over Gary V. I've heard all the things you guys said, and that doesn't take away Gary V's accomplishments, but I think you also have to, think about from what position did both start. Gary V had a $300 million ad firm when he started this, and Luca Netz wasn't poor by any means, but he certainly didn't have a $300 million firm and every single celebrity imaginable within his reach. And I also think that the Pudgy Penguin brand is just more recognizable than a VeeFriend because of the fact that it's just one penguin in many, many different varieties. Penguins have been in games, their Instagram, their TikTok, their YouTube, like all their other socials are far and away far larger than just VeeFriends natively. I think that there are more. Well, I actually can't argue again with that because Gary V has a lot of diehard fans, but I think there are potentially as many diehard fans of the Penguins on a day-to-day basis than our VeeFriends, and I don't.
That one I disagree with. By the real quick, I agree with you on the social. I think the socials point is a very fair one. I actually think that the where he started point doesn't track to the statement. Right, the statement was, "I am the largest bastion of Web3 IP by a Texas Mile." I think when you're taking that statement in a nutshell, it doesn't matter where you started at what you're doing. But I agree on the social part. I actually don't think that Pudgy Penguins necessarily has more fans than VeeFriends. I think it's pretty close. I think that a lot of people on the timeline don't see the VeeFriends quite as much.
Fans of Gary V, or are they fans of VeeFriends?
No, VeeFriends has like a very vibrant community that most people don't see because it is so separate. Like when you go to a VCon, you hear a lot of people who only own a VeeFriend. And yes, it's because they're Gary fans first, but they are VeeFriends fans all the same. They are rabid fans who, you look at how they sell out. It's just like Pudgy Penguins. When they sell limited items, stuff sells out immediately.
Exactly. And it's also probably one of, if not the most, where you see, like you said, individuals are active, and that's the only community they're active in, right? Like there's people that have, they host VeeFriends streams, and they're active content creators, and they don't talk about anything else in this space. They don't participate. They are diehard VeeFriends fans and creating content around that. And they'll have thousands of people show up for these streams. And they're really leaning into the collector element, that physical collector element, and they're crushing it. I'm drawing a blank on the name. To the
great.
Moon.
Yeah, for me, I don't want either of them to fail. I think that's great. I don't know about the VeeFriends fan base, so like I have a gap in my knowledge there. I think it's okay for like it doesn't have to be true for it to be a concerning statement for Luca to say that. I think you have to believe if you're going to try and build one of the world's biggest IPs, you have to be delusional. And you have to have a delusional fan base, even more important. I live in Florida, and the most annoying demographic of people in Florida are Disney adults. Like they're the worst people. They're the worst.
I also live in Florida, and I've seen some really interesting rallies at like 2:00 on a Tuesday afternoon at the Publix intersection. Like there is some interesting people in Florida.
I know, but Disney adults are by far the worst like genre demographic of Floridians, and Disney adults and Penguin people are not that different, and probably the same for VeeFriends. I think people who really love a brand, they make that a part of their identity.
It's might be the best take Jonah's ever had.
This is so good. This is like such a good, like Jonah on the stream, we're like laughing and smiling because this is such a good take. Like it's like Disney. Like, look, I know actually a sane Disney friend adult, but is not in Florida. So it's like they're Disney adults in the sense that like, and they have kids, right? So they can like have their kids there. I remember going to Disney the first time with my daughter and having like two ladies in like their 50s basically push us out of the way to go see a guy in a Mickey costume because they wanted to take a picture and talk to him as if he was really Mickey. Now, look, enjoy what you want to enjoy, but I think you're making a very, very strong point here in that, like, it's almost like we can debate it all day, and I love having this discussion because it's one of those, like, it's like when First Take debates the GOAT or something, right? But at the same time, I love the point you're making about it doesn't actually matter. You kind of need to be delusional, but that second point, you need your fans to be even more delusional in a good way. This isn't like us knocking, and Jonah, just to make sure I'm not misstating you, you're not mocking them for being delusional.
It's not a mock. It's that if you, it's very much an MLM. And I think MLMs get a bad context because there are good MLMs and bad MLMs. But if you want to have the biggest brand in the world, you need to build a cult, and the first step to a cult is indoctrination, right? And so, like, when you go to Disney, you are indoctrinated. Okay, you go through. There's like 3 or 4 parks. There's a brand. Okay, the mini ears, right? Every mom buys the mini ears. That's like step 1 of indoctrination. Step 2 is the fucking candy apples that the kids have, and it's Magic Mountain and all that. Like, there's an indoctrination process that goes on through the life of a brand, and it's from A to Z. And that's something that's really important, because what you want is advocates that, like, word of mouth is the most powerful marketing in the world. Like, there's no amount of advertising dollars that I can spend that will replace word of mouth marketing. And if for every one Disney adult, maybe they convert, of the 5 they have in their family, maybe they convert another one, right? And then that person grows up and they have a kid. And that indoctrination is really important. So, you can't have a cult without a cult leader who is delusional. That's just how that works.
Yeah, see, that's honestly, like, again, great take. I think that's a really strong NFT thesis too. It's like, and look, you're not going to get an argument from me. I mean, this is partially what I wrote in my book, is that you get these fans of the brand who feel ownership of it, who feel part of the brand. Like, my whole thing is, in Web 1, you were the customer. In Web 2, you were the product. And in Web 3, you are part of the brand in the perfect scenario. And I think Luca does a tremendous job rallying the troops on that. So it's like, it's almost like we're getting nuance with 1 and 1A when we start debating Gary versus Luca. They're approaching it.
Because you're a Floridian. So I live about 40 minutes from his office. And part of his indoctrination is he treats his office like a church. And whenever you want to talk about working on abstract, or you're building something on abstract, he's like, come to the office. And it's almost like doing a confessional, right? And it's really interesting how he does that. I wonder if maybe Gary Vee can't do that because he's at a much larger playing field.
He does do that. So his office is like a church. When you go to the office in New York, if you've never been, you go to this office in Hudson Yards, beautiful office, like top floor of Hudson Yards, great view, all that stuff. They have these rooms, and they have multiple areas Like they have a VeeFriends chair, they have a whole filming area, and they have areas where anytime anybody of note comes in, they actually do that with VeeFriends, or just generally in the office, period. But oftentimes with VeeFriends, where it's like they'll go in and they have people coming in and out who Gary knows, and they have them do something around the VeeFriends. So it's actually very similar to what you said, and they use both famous people, Web3 people, you name it, and they treat it in the same exact way you just said.
So let me ask you a question on this. Gary Vee is what, in his late 40s? I don't know what his age is.
Mid 40s. Yeah.
Okay, and Luca is in his probably mid 20s.
Correct.
Do you think Gary Vee would have the same aggression and personality as Luca Netz when Gary Vee was 25?
He did when he was in his 30s. When he was 25, he was working at his dad's liquor store because he was basically trying to pull up. But yeah, I do. Oh, sorry. Repeat. Contextualize the question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the point that I'm like making is, I think it's more of a youth thing where Gary Vee, when he first started, right, whether he was 25 or 35, whenever he was, right, I think that's a part, like, immaturity in a good way. That's new energy for someone who's just starting out in that world. Because even though Luca's had a lot of accomplishments, to be in your 20s, you're still starting out. No matter what you're doing, you're starting out because you're early in your life, right? So I think if you were to say it's not that irrational for Luca to make those statements, because you'd have to ask yourself, would Gary Vee make a similar statement at that age and at that position? And I think the answer would probably be yes, because that's just the nature of youth.
You're right. And actually he did. I would say he did make those statements actually. Like, and I think you could easily find back.
He does it regularly. He makes those statements regularly.
But to the point, Prophets, I think it's true. He makes those statements, but like kind of what we were even saying earlier is like he makes them, but it's a little more refined, which I think speaks to Jonah's point that the way he makes them usually is it doesn't hit quite the same way where people are like, did you really just say that? But I think early in his career he did. But that's what you kind of want to see. But you're right. Like he does make those statements still where he talks about, the importance, the growth, the direction he's going. And I think it's a fair point, like both Prophets and Jonah made, which is one, he does make those statements. Two, he makes them and people don't blink an eye, maybe because he's done it, but he did make those statements when he was, talking to 12 YouTube subscribers too. And like, I remember him going on and saying that Facebook stole Instagram on like CNBC or something when I was watching the TradFi world, and people mocked him. They openly laughed at him. He turned out to be right, but like, it was a bold statement to make at the time that people laughed at him. And he's like, we'll talk about it. I'm right. Like he does get adversarial in that way. In fact, one of the Gary Vee memes in the Web3 world is there was a reporter on a financial reporter who asked him a question about NFTs and sort of mocked it. And Gary just gets this really, remember the Gary angry smirk face? Like Gary I could find it actually. Because I was doing research for a long form piece I'm working on yesterday, and I came across one of Whale's threads that had it in it. So I'm going to find that, and we can go to Joey while I find that particular piece, because I do have it saved, because I'm going to probably use a reference of a different thing from that thread in my article. But Joey Valves, get in here. Good points, Jonah. The good pushback and actually really good time working that out. Joey GM.
GM guys, yeah, I don't have a problem with any entrepreneur like having that attitude. Like entrepreneurship is really hard, and if you don't face all of these challenges and the ups and downs, like with that type of confidence, you're probably going to get your ass kicked and not survive. So like he should be confident, right? Like if you asked anybody who opened up their own business a year or two into it, like, are you going to be a massive success? If they don't say yes, then then they shouldn't be an entrepreneur, right? Like you have to have that kind of confidence. Okay, maybe could he have said it in a better way? Sure, but who cares, right? Like it's spur of the moment. My guess is like this wasn't a scripted interview, and it's what rolled off his tongue. So I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I agree.
The second you have to give these, especially like people don't realize, like we were having a conversation in the BZ Slack, and like somebody was, sharing their feelings about what's been going on, and we all agree. Startup life is hard, right? Like you get knocked down a lot, if you haven't raised tons of money, It's stressful. You know, even when you raise tons of money, it's stressful, right? Because you got to figure out how to pay it all back. So I like the confidence. I say keep doing it. Like, you know, I think him buying $5 million in PENGU should be a vote of confidence to everybody that maybe didn't believe in PENGU long term. Like, the guy is literally putting his money where his mouth is, which is what we ask for these founders to do all the time, right? Don't just keep extracting from your community. You do something, and he's doing it, right? Whether, you know, we could say, oh, well, that $5 million came from whatever, but either way, it's still his $5 million that he's spending on it. And then the Gary Vee thing, the last thing I'll say, you know, in my opinion, I don't think people are understanding how big this Topps Chrome thing is with VeeFriends. Like, the opportunity, like, he's, you know,
Can you explain
they
what that is?
produce their
Because I
own.
have no idea.
Okay, yeah. So previous to this month, Gary Vee, you know, they had created their own trading cards. They're compete and collect and all these things, right? We don't know the exact details, but they have now released VeeFriends cards, Topps, like through Topps, right? Topps is the biggest, arguably one of, if not the biggest, trading card, sports card distributors in the world. And the Chrome series is like their like Star Wars has a Chrome series. It's like a special edition series, right? And the fact that VeeFriends, and maybe they paid for this, we don't know, right? Versus Topps coming to them and saying, we want to do this for you. Either way, the fact that VeeFriends now has a Topps Chrome collection, which you'll probably be able to find in every single hobby shop in the world at some point, if not like in the next month, anywhere where Topps cards are sold, is massive. I do think that from a like a importance of Web3 IP, they're very different, right? Like, it's clear that Gary is going after the collector hobby, right? That he's going after the people that, you know, want to own Pokemon cards and rare baseball cards, and that's who he's going after with everything he's doing with VeeFriends at this point. Where Luca and their brand, they're going after, you know, like the family model, like to Jonah's point, like the Disney model, right? Like, how do I get parents excited so that way they share with their kids, and then their kids become Pudgy fans, and then their kids, and etc. Like, I think it's a very different direction that they're both taking, and I think they're both equally as important. But if I really, really had to, like, gun to my head, pick who do I think is more important right now, I think it's Gary Vee, just because of his reach alone. Like, his reach to proliferate Web3 IP, I think, is just better than Luca's right now, just because of Gary Vee's name.
Yeah, and I'll add in one more thing, actually, too, just to like make a point of like the blind spot, because I think a lot of people do have blind spots in VeeFriends, and I'm not, you know, I think it's a big piece before and we'll kind of hang on this for a minute, but you know, look at these Topps Chrome hobby box sales. This is sold items on eBay: 310, 300, 339, 419, 299. That's a smaller individual one. It's a booster box. 275, 275, 475. These things are selling. The individual ones are smaller. These things are selling for 400, 300, 400, you know, at times almost $500. Okay. As a holder of a VeeFriends, you had a token gated opportunity to buy one without a problem. Actually, buy, I think, up to 3 without a problem. I just got one. I should have gotten more for $99. And so it's an example of, like, 1, a product that a lot of people in Web3 didn't know about. 2, demand being there that people didn't know about. And 3, a fandom that people maybe were not understanding that is there. It's similar to the Friends hats. I bought one of his Friends hats while I was sitting in line at Starbucks on my phone through their website, which let me do single sign-on and let me do that because it went live. I got the push notification because Gary does communications well that says VeeFriends Friends hats live now. Won't be, you know, they'll sell out quick. And he says that it sounds like a marketing tactic. It's true. And I went on and I bought it, and it sold out pretty quickly as a token gated drop. Again, that's the type of thing where it's, I think it's like we have this blind spot because it's not necessarily the crypto Twitter group, but I mean, a Fearless hat sold, a Loyal hat, which I own, sold for $89. A Fearless hat sold for $250. Friends hat. The Resilient one that just went on sale sold for $111.99. These are $20 hats that he's selling, I believe, on the site. I have to check the initial one. $109. 55 of
Steve,
119.
This is like the Web 2 version of like what people in Web 3 always call like free money. Like we talk about all the time about like what can these projects do to make their holders feel more special or whatever. Like the fact that it wasn't like people are going to say like, oh, you're just selling more stuff to your community. It's extractive. No, Gary Vee built a brand that is desirable, gave you a chance to buy something for $100 that you could now go flip for $300 or $400. Like this is the same as like becoming like if you had some special tier at Foot Locker that allowed you to come by the Jordans early on that you could go flip them, right? Like this is what Gary Vee has built with this brand. It's not extractive to sell to your community. He's actually giving his community an opportunity to, number one, be part of the growth, and then number two, if they want to actually make money off of what he's growing.
By the way, correction, the hats were I think like $50 actually, so selling for 100, 200, etc. But the point is it's a flip, right? The point is that we look at flips in this space as like, oh my God, I need to make like $5,000. I don't even need to claim a $200 airdrop. Instead, like Gary's doing something that I think a lot of people can relate to, which is people do flip things for $50, $60. So the Friends hats were $50, $55. They're not 20. I got that number wrong just to kind of look that up. But again, if you're selling a hat for $119, a 2x on your money as a normal human being is actually the hustle that Gary talks about, kind of working your way up. What we do in this space often is times unrealistic. So to your point, the free money based on like, yeah, exactly what Joey said, $99 tops box, token gated, could have bought multiple, people buying them for $300, $400 online. I could have gotten multiples and sold. I got one. Now I got a decision to make. So anyway, I think good discussion. It's a fun one, especially for a Friday. I like this sort of discussion. But that said, I know Profits is up here. So before we switch gears and talk a little bit of helium and some other things, Profits, I know you are going to Dubai. I am incredibly FOMO. I'm feeling all the FOMO over this, incredibly jealous. Want to give you a chance to give a little air cover on what you're doing there. I know you're going there with BZ. I know you have some other things going on. You're always busy. Talk about what you got going on there just for a little bit, just in case anybody's interested in heading that way.
Hey, what's up, GM? Thank you for the space. I appreciate that. I just need to say this for Jonah. Gary Vee over Luca. I love both, but come on, brother. We'll get to that later. But no, if you're coming to Dubai, May 1st at Seven Tails on the Marina, myself and Melina, Miss Girl in the Verse, will be hosting Proof of Vibes. Brought to you by Exposed Media, sponsored by Flo and BZ. Very fucking excited. We have over 550 RSVPs, more than some of the biggest companies in the space, actually. Very proud to say that. But yeah, it's going to be 6 to 9:30 Dubai time. So if you're going to be out there, definitely pull up. I just pinned up the link to the top so you guys could check that out. But very excited to meet everybody. It's my first time in Dubai, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. I do have my skirts and my bathing suits ready to go, ready to look as modest as possible in the beautiful city of Dubai.
So what can people expect at a Profits Melina Girl in the Verse? By the way, appreciate that. Shout out Girl in the Verse, by the way. Missed an important shout out today. Girl in the Verse hosting or definitely hosting that as well. So I think that's a good one to make sure. I'm glad that you brought her because I didn't want to miss that shout out for her double hosting. She seems like she's always like woman on the street regularly, which I appreciate. So, teed it up as your event, but obviously Melina as well. She's a friend and she's great. So what could people expect at the event, which again, like cool to see like Exposed Media, BZ getting the love from both Flo and obviously, you work with BZ. What would people expect with this massive RSVP'd event? Like, what are y'all doing?
So it's a beautiful lounge, like Japanese style lounge. It has really nice skyline views. It's at the top of this like 4-story restaurant. So there's gonna be a DJ. We'll start. I'll be tap dancing. I'm just kidding. But no, drinks, night bites,
breakdancing, maybe breakdancing, right?
Maybe breakdancing. I don't know if I can breakdance in a skirt yet. We're gonna figure it out. But. But also, the first 100 people get blessed with a really cool swag bag that was well thought out and curated. And you already know there's definitely going to be some Pokemon packs in there. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm stoked. It's gonna be my first time. I can't even believe I organized an event across the world. But here we are, staying up late and talking to people and ordering shit just to do so. But yeah, I'm really excited to get it done. Thank you, Steve, for the space. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One more question on that though, because I am curious, because I am not an event organizer and I have not done it before. I've been to your events. I liked your events. The sort of the event at why am I blanking on the name? It was Beat Basil.
Beat Basil, yeah. At
But
Fundimensions, yeah.
Yeah, no, Beat Basil I remembered. Where was it at again?
At Fundimension.
Fundimension, that's right. I kept wanting to get Fundimension. I'm like, why can't I come up with this one? So, you do Beat Basil at Fundimension. How I guess like how much more challenging is it to organize an event that is across the world, I would say, versus doing something in your backyard in Miami?
That's a great question. I just kind of went through my contacts of people I know in Dubai. I said, hey, this is the area I want to do something in. Give me suggestions. So actually, this really cool girl named Cam suggested me. She's in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So yeah, she connected me with them. There was a few, and this venue was really sweet. We got on WhatsApp, video called me, sent me 10 million videos of the venue. I was like, amazing, perfect. So I was able to visualize how I want everything to look, and then made a decision. I will say, I wish Miami was like Dubai when it came to throwing events. I mean, like minimums and things were a little different, way better, which was really cool. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's I'm really grateful for the connections and the the alliances that I've created in the space, because it helps me pretty much execute on my ideas when it comes to, for example, in this case, throwing an event outside the country that I've never been to before. So that's the biggest thing. And then distributors for like merch and stuff was a little interesting, but I have now officially found the Dubai plug, which is great. So he's already producing everything. Most of the stuff is already kind of done. So that's awesome. I was thinking I had to ship stuff, so that would have been a headache. So yeah, it's been a fun process. It's very a lot of DMing, a lot of texting, a lot of staying up late, but it's definitely worth it.
Love that. No, appreciate you continuing to be here and build. As somebody who, like, I say it all the time, like, you could see kind of like who is here and who's not here when there's bull markets, bear markets, ebbs and flows. And when you're continuing to host spaces, when you're continuing to do events, bull, bear, inside, outside, like, you do see some people who pop up a little more or less depending on the market conditions, and definitely not you. So glad you're getting it going. Glad you're continuing to run events out there, and appreciate you continuing to lead in that way, and looking forward to the next one that I can make it to, whether it's Basel, 8 Fest, whatever you do next. Should be a fun one.
You're going to Vegas, right?
That's the plan. Yeah, definitely.
Wait, in May or October or both?
October
Okay,
is
cool,
this event.
cool,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yep.
that's gonna be.
Do I need an ape to go to that? What's the?
No, you can be my +1, buddy. I got
We'll
you.
get you in. Yeah, we'll get you in, Jonah, if you want.
Fucked up profits.
I'll go to Vegas.
It's messed up profits.
Joey, you could come too, buddy. I have a few +1s.
Joe, we got all the.
Why not?
We got all the +1s. No, you should definitely do 8 Fest in Vegas. I'd be curious your take on it, because
I like blackjack.
you're like, I want to go to Vegas. Like, you'll go to Vegas and all the Web3 people there. You'd be like, I skipped 8 Fest, not a fan, but I went to all
I've
the
been
Vegas
to Vegas
stuff.
before. Vegas is great, but I mean, I haven't had a reason to go to Vegas in the past few years. And work trip, I guess. It's a work trip.
It's the way I see it. I explain it to my wife and my kids all the time. It's like, it's a work trip I'm going to Vegas for. Which it actually is, but it's definitely a little bit different. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That should be fun. I haven't been to Vegas in I guess like last time we were in Vegas, I think my wife was pregnant with our first kid. We had just found out. We were at a friend's wedding and we had just found out. So we had to keep it a secret because we didn't want to overshadow my friend's wedding at the time. And then my friend ended up saying, like, yeah, when she was out for like the bachelorette party, everybody knew it, because basically my wife's like, look, she goes to the server. She's like, look, I'm pregnant. I don't want anybody to know. So I'm ordering I'm ordering a cranberry juice, but no alcohol in it whatsoever. Because we had just found out we were pregnant with my daughter, who's now 13. So it's been, 13 plus years since I've been to Vegas, 14 years about. And we order the cranberry juice, and the server comes and he's like, yeah, so I got a, vodka soda, a martini, just a plain cranberry juice, no alcohol, and hands it to my wife in front of everybody. And she's like, fuck. And I was like, I told my friend afterwards, he's like, yeah, everybody kind of pretty much guessed that. So that was the last time I was in Vegas, was 14 years ago. So I'm excited. It'll be a good excuse and a good reason to go. Joey, see your hand up. Let's go to Joey, and then Cap, we can talk a little bit of helium and some other things as I've now topped off my coffee and I'm getting back to my machine.
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to add too on the Gary V thing. So we have a card shop here in South Florida. It's a newer shop. It's really cool. They've got iPads. It's it's a fancier hobby shop than what we're used to. And Gary was actually there on Monday, ripping packs on their live stream in shop, promoting the Topps Chrome release. And I think that's something that's notable when we talk about like proliferating the brand. Gary going on this giant media tour, jumping on people's live streams and going to hobby shops to promote his cards. We may not see it in Web3. The only reason why I know about it is because I follow this card shop on Instagram, and I saw it on Instagram. So I think, to your point, Steve, earlier about crypto Twitter and some of the things that Gary does, you're not going to see on crypto Twitter because he's on these other platforms appealing to a certain collector base. And I just wanted to add that I think that's super cool what he's doing. Actually, man on the street, guerrilla marketing, going to all these hobby shops to promote his VeeFriends cards.
Yeah, that's actually let me put a pin in the conversation with this, is that I think what we have here is we have, and I know people are like, why are we debating which one? It's just for fun, right? I mean, this is like a fun Friday discussion we can all have together, and nobody's really contentious. It's just kind of having the debate and the discussion, and it lets us, what I love about these discussions, Cap, is what it lets me do is reminds me, and it's like a palate cleanse to be like, you know what? Luca is pushing the shit out of his IP, and he's really trying to get out there, and he's trying to make Pudgy cards thing. He's putting Pudgies. My son has a Pudgy on his backpack, and he doesn't care about anything I do in this world. He just likes the Pudgy Penguin. I mentioned I go to Starbucks a lot because it's one of my go-to stores. It's or for my coffee in the morning. And there's a lady who works at my local Starbucks who I saw wearing a backpack when she was leaving, one of the workers I know. She had a Pudgy Penguin toy in her backpack. No idea that it was a Pudgy Penguin toy, right? Probably. Or she knew it's a Pudgy Penguin toy, but it's not that she knows it's NFT. So you talk about how they're proliferating their IP. And we get to have that discussion. Then we get that discussion about Gary and everything he's doing and how it's different. And it's I think it's like any other industry where it's in 10 years, most of these things will have been done and gone. We'll see which ones are still around, still thriving. But it feels like VeeFriends and Pudgies feel like they are doing the work that is necessary to build a foundation that in 10, 20 years, these IPs still exist. And it's a thing where it's a debate like this isn't about Luca or Gary V to me. It's about the fact that both of them are doing things the right way in this space to try and make sure that they build a real sustainable brand and not a giant Ponzi scheme. And I think that part of it is what gets me excited about this conversation. Any thoughts on that before we go helium?
Yeah, same. And just to be clear, I think we're fortunate to have both. The only reason it's even discussing Gary versus Luca was the recent clip where Luca self-proclaimed as the bastion of Web3 IP
by a Texas Mile.
By a Texas Mile. So I think if he doesn't say the by a Texas Mile thing, we may not even be discussing it. It's an aggressive statement. Like I said, I'd rather the confidence be there than a lack thereof. So I don't have an issue with it. That's what led to the discussion. The also related as it relates to IP or Web3 IP, I pinned up another announcement that came out from Klenos yesterday. I know we're going to go a different route here with the wireless stuff, but they also won a Webby. I pinned that up yesterday. We didn't even get to it, but recently won another Webby award and just introduced their achievement systems. I've not done a deep dive yet. I'm still not in that Klenos ecosystem, but big fan of what they're doing. And
why don't Klenos get the same respect of these other ones?
We're on Solana, and everyone thinks it's just a degen casino.
Solana.
It's Sol, right? I was gonna say, it's Sol, right? I was thinking the same thing where it's Klenos are crushing it. I love Cab. He shares this sort of stuff with me. I always retweet it. I love the brand. And I like, obviously, Klenos are a great IP. I remember like a few years
I think
ago,
similar to the VeeFriends statement where I think they may get more recognition outside of Web3 than they do on crypto Twitter.
Yeah, I think Klenos, I've always kept my eye on the floor for a Kleno I like. I'm a big Stegosaurus guy, Stegosaurus for life, and I want to get the right Stegosaurus with the right face and the right everything. And there has never been one close to the floor. It's usually the freaking out Stegosaurus. There's actually a cute purple one that maybe I'd look at, but it is not inexpensive at the moment. But like, I don't know, man. Like Klenos is one of those ones where it's like, Cab's awesome. Actually unrelated, but an amazing move when we were at NFT Paris and we were trying to get like coffee, and the coffee stand guy clearly wasn't like super bilingual, and Cab just goes up and starts speaking fluent French fucking out of nowhere. That was interesting. But Cab, I mean, good, like good, smart leader. Obviously that the whole team is really, really well versed. Mike is over there now, previously, Big Doodles community members at the Rainbow Zine. He's crushing it over there. And Klenos continues to be awesome. Right? Continues to be awesome. And I feel like we don't talk about them. And maybe it's because of the Solana thing, but it's like, that's another one that just keeps building in a really fun, interesting way, encouraging collecting. People collect whole herds of the same dinosaur. Like they have this mentality and they have a great community and they just don't get the love. And like, and it's us too. Like we're part of the problem. Like I want to be better. So yeah, like I think Klenos, like shout out to them. I need to do a better job on that. I really want to buy a Kleno. It is a hard market decision for me at this point with where the market's at to buy a Kleno, even though I really like them. I said before Klenos existed, like the biggest miss in Web3, I had this tweet that like actually did major numbies back before I was like had a lot of followers, which is like, why the hell is there not a native dinosaur IP in Web3? Seems like a no-brainer. Now there is, and it's a great one. Dinosaurs rock. The animation is cute. So I don't know. Maybe I'll dip into the bag and go and get myself a Kleno at some point here. I need to find the right Stegosaurus that I really want. And I kind of wanted a cute running Stegosaurus, and they're all like, the dopey face. It's almost like finding googly eyes near the floor. Kleno's floor, another bullish thing about them. The floors tend to be really floors. They're sad, concerned dinosaurs if you look at them. Here, I'll show people what I mean on the stream, and then we can keep moving. But I'm glad we brought up Klenos because it's good to give them the respect. But if you look at the floor of Klenos, I'll try to zoom in a little bit here so people can see on the stream. See, like concerned T-Rex, Ankylosaurus that looks like it's sleeping, concerned Triceratops, angry Dino could work pretty well, but concerned Triceratops, like the concerned look is the googly eyes floor to me, or like the sleepy look, versus like this guy I kind of like the Stego here, so maybe that's one that I'll look at today potentially, not cheap again, but you can see like the looks on the face. I don't mind the dopey look. That's a fun one. Would like him to be moving. So dopies come next. But my point being, the facial expressions on the floor of Klenos is why I haven't bought one yet, because whenever a Stego goes down there, it's not one that I'm super interested in buying. So in any case, like would like to see Klenos get more respect. Good call, Cap. I like that one.
Do you say you have more on Helios?
I was going to say, let's do it. I want to make sure we got it. We can jump into more on Helios.
The more you know, brought to you by ENS.
We said Helios. I meant Helium. It's time for the more you know, brought to you by ENS. And look, we're going to talk about it a little bit here. Cap is a wireless guru on the show, and I'm curious to hear his thoughts on this, but Helium Network is a decentralized wireless community that is changing the way we connect. Instead of relying solely on traditional cell towers, Helium is built by everyday people who deploy small devices that are used as hotspots. These hotspots create local coverage for things like Wi-Fi and Internet of Things devices, and owners earn crypto rewards for helping power the network. Today, Helium is one of the largest decentralized networks in the world, with tens of thousands of hotspots across the U.S. alone. It even caught the attention of some major players, something we'll talk about today. AT&T, who just partnered with them to expand their hotspot footprint worldwide. Helium is proof that wireless infrastructure doesn't just have to be decentralized, and the future of connectivity might just be powered by the crowd. That is the more you know, brought to you by ENS. ENS does more than you know, not just anchoring your name across Web3, but anchoring across the internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. security, interoperability, and ease of use. Go to ens.domains to learn more and secure your ENS domain. And Cap, as we talk about this one, I'm trying to find out like when Helium was founded, because I had a buddy who actually tried to sell me on this years ago. Like, I know it was founded a long, long time ago. But like, you know, and it was like, I think it was like guys from Napster or something in some way, shape, or I don't even remember, but it was like, I remember it being founded, but like, I think like in 2021, a friend of mine who happened to be in crypto, I found out later on, who like lives by me, was like, he actually asked me if he could put one of his in my house, which I was like, I don't know. This feels kind of weird, but like, I should have gotten in on it. Like, he got in on it. He was telling me to get in on it. I'm like, it sounds like maybe, I don't know. And I just kind of pushed it aside. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. AT&T is jumping on the crypto. Does this, I'm going to hand it to you for a second. I got to check something real quick. So I'll hand it to you and jump off to ask the question. Like, one, I want to get your reaction. Two, does it change your opinion about AT&T, who you have notoriously fudded, versus Verizon?
So to your earlier point, yes, it's been around for a while. I think like started in 2013, and then they went I think token dropped in 2019. And similar to you, this is one where I had not necessarily my wireless buddies. It was a lot of the repair shop franchisees and independent repair shop owners, where they're always looking for incremental revenue streams and things to add on to their service business. And several of them got deep in. It's funny that Jonah brought up multi-level marketing. Like, that was always this felt like a crypto meets MLM approach to me from the jump, and they've grown. I just saw, I think I pinned it up top. If not, I'll throw it up there now. But Network Stacks right now, they tout 800,000 daily active users, which is not nothing. I mean, it's nothing relative to the big wireless carriers, but it's actually a pretty large amount as relative to crypto daily active users. So does it change my opinion on AT&T? The wireless at least in the US has almost been, you know, it's essentially a commodity today. Like, I don't know as if there's the technical advantages in terms of data and speed and cost that you had a few years ago. Sure, I'm sure there's different depending on where you travel and where you live. But if you live in or primarily stay in major cities, Verizon, AT&T, Mobile are all going to be pretty comparable in terms of what they, cost and what you get for it. With being a Spectrum, Verizon being the higher end on the cost and giving a little more in-building coverage and some other perks there, but it's negligible in terms of the difference in quality of the three, I believe, anyways. And more so than my thoughts on AT&T here, it's more a thought on DePIN, and do we see more of, we saw so much with the AI nodes and a lot of that take off. You using our idle bandwidth and all that. Like, that's where I get excited, is maybe this brings DePIN and these decentralized networks more into the limelight. Like, maybe we have a little DePIN season is kind of my I don't know. I really, what it makes me want to do is study more, not just about Helium, but this sector in general. It's like I've paid attention to it, but I haven't paid attention to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think that's sort of the takeaway I have as well, is that this is not a application I have thought deeply about since my friend tried to sell me on having these in my house, his in my house years ago, right? So like, I haven't really thought deeply about this application. So at least for me, it's a spot where I need to do more research. I have not been super deep in the DePIN worlds because I think I'll be honest, like, I get certain areas where DePIN makes sense. Decentralized infrastructure basically is what that is. For networks and whatnot. I always worried that DePIN was a little bit like the early worlds of NFTs, where we maybe tried to force fit like deep like NFTs solve this, crypto solves this, and I'm like, some of these DePIN applications, I don't know if they're better than the current application, so I kind of like slept on it a little bit there, right? I'm now rethinking that strategy and being more, I need to dig in a little bit more on the DePIN world. Like that's something that I probably need to do.
I'm getting like, I feel it across the board. DePIN, I feel it back with AI. I feel like, it's exciting to see green on the charts. More exciting than green on the charts to me is it feels like we are kind of back, and I want to be looking for opportunities, right? Some of these have been building for years, and they just haven't had their moment yet where they've had their foundational product or service and that be in a bull market. And so, yeah, I think there's beyond Helium, I do want to explore more of just DePIN in general and go back and relook at some it might have been productive AI agents or AI tokens or things that I looked at previously. Some I might hold. Some maybe it hasn't even caught my attention yet. I getting a little bit of FOMO. FOMO is probably not the right word, but I feel like time just like we could see we're entering the season, like some of this stuff that's building has real life utility, real life value. If we really are entering a bull, some of this stuff could just go absolutely bonkers from a value accrual standpoint, from a price appreciation standpoint. And now is when I want to be making those moves, not 3 months from now, I feel.
Yeah, got it. No, I think that's sort of the way that I'm thinking about it as well, is trying to dig in more because I guess like we're starting to see some of the dust settle and stuff like this, right? Because Helium's been around for a long time, and I don't think any of us had on our bingo card Helium, AT&T and Helium together. Like I didn't think about it. Like obviously that's probably the dream and that's what they want to do, but it's hard. This is one of the things why I'm glad we host a show like this, is because we can bring up people who are experts and learn on a regular basis. Like I was listening to Chris Williamson's Modern Wisdom recently, and he was talking a little bit. He does a Q&A section when he hits milestones. He had 3.5 million subscribers or something. So he like did a Q&A for people asking questions. And one of the questions they asked him about was about his, like whether he interviews for the audience or himself. And he made this comment about like, my show is actually largely autobiographical when I'm going through like productivity hacks. I have a bunch of productivity people on, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things we do is like, what I like about this show is like, I'm a little more interested in DePIN. Like we want to learn about AVAX. We had AVAX people on. We want to learn about DePIN. We'll get some DePIN people on. And that's how I learn and how I grow, is through those kind of conversations, and our audience gets to learn with us. And that's what I'm hoping to do probably in the near future with this particular sector, because I haven't been nearly as locked in as I should be. Because like I said, it was almost like a foggy mess to me where it's like, this is DePIN, this is DePIN, this is DePIN, just like NFTs and all these other things. And I'd be like, we don't need NFTs to solve a situation where a regular database is actually superior, right? And I think it's very similar here. But Funky, saw your hand come up. Go ahead and get in here. GM, my friend.
GM guys, first and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing the post about Polkadot getting recognized at the Florida House. I just saw it up in the nest.
I haven't even touched on it yet. I just saw it and put it up there. Do you want to, for those who haven't seen it yet, you want to give us the TLDR?
Yeah, sure. And then I wanted to jump in on the Helium stuff. So yes, last week I, along with another Polkadot friend, James Slusser, went up to Tallahassee. I was there for 2 days. The first day, on Tuesday, I was primarily doing my side work for Ardent, which is an education initiative where we're trying to bring blockchain education, AI prompting, financial literacy to Florida classrooms. So I had like 14 meetings with legislators, and I had like 26 mini meetings with aides where I was just dropping off like a cover letter and a sheet. The next day, Polkadot actually belongs to an organization called the FBBA, which is the Florida Business Blockchain Association. Or Blockchain Business Association, I should say. And I'm good friends with the president. And so he always does a blockchain day in the Capitol. And Florida is really important, right, strategically as a state, because we're the third most populous state in the U.S. We're the fourth biggest economy in the U.S. We rank 15th in the world. People don't realize how big Florida is and how much of an economic powerhouse it is. And then on top of that, you look at the Trump transition team, virtually everyone, I think almost every single part of his staff came from Florida. And many of, people think, oh, what's the big deal? It's a state, legislative house. Many of these people go on to serve at the federal level. So by establishing relationships with these legislators while they're here in the Sunshine State, they go on to become, like a good example is Byron Donalds. He served in the House, he served in the Senate. He now sits in the federal House, and he's going to come back and run for governor. So these people, when you build relationships with them early on, they remember you. And so the FBBA is doing this great work since 2017. I think back in 2023, they passed the first anti-CBDC bill in the whole United States at the state level. They have a strategic Bitcoin reserve that's going through right now. And as just a representative, as somebody who belongs to the Polkadot network, James and I were there kind of representing, I was also wearing my global stake, my head of protocol partnerships hat, and talking about blockchain infrastructure, SOC 2 certifications, and so on and so forth. But we also talk about Polkadot as sort of the world's largest DAO, because you can do everything on chain through the token. It's all through, just directly on the blockchain where you can enact things and stuff like that. So it's really kind of cool. So that's sort of the Polkadot piece. I'll pause there if you have any questions. I'm talking super fast. My pre-workout's kicking in. I'm just about to get to the gym. So, but I do want to chime in on the Helium stuff too.
No, appreciate you chiming in on all things. Steve, I don't know. Did I come over top of you there?
No. I was on mute. I was going to say I appreciate it. And I actually think that's another good example as we talk about ecosystem blind spots. Polkadot's extremely slept on. Funky's a big Polkadot enjoyer. So I appreciate the context there. Want to get your thoughts on the Helium thing, though, as well.
Yeah, so this is really kind of cool and very timely. I've been mining Helium since late 2020, I think it was. I bought one of the first miners for their IoT stuff. Now, unfortunately, that's pennies compared to the mobile 5G stuff that they do, but I do know how it works. And I probably should have jumped into that game instead, because their first offering was more about just connecting IoT devices. Many of these nodes talk to themselves. If you were running that thing back in the previous bull run, they were literally money printers. I knew a dude out in Orlando who was running these things, and he was just making thousands of dollars a month. But since they came out with mobile, which is their second version, this is when they're starting to get all these big integrations, like you guys just mentioned, with AT&T. And it's really unique how the system works. So basically, you run this little box, and what you're doing is you're plugging into your ISP. So just your regular internet. You're just basically plugging that in, and that turns that into a 5G signal that's just really kind of small and portable and light. And then they have these bigger units that can be done for like industrial size stuff. So one of the guys that actually is in the FBBA organization that was there, like in that little clip, you see him filming. His name's William Ross. He does a lot of content creation himself. He lives in Tallahassee, and he actually has a whole business doing this, where he literally goes to businesses and he says, hey, I'm going to buy a box. I'm going to put it in your store or your whatever. I'm going to give you a cut of the revenue if you're cool with that. And I'm just going to like leech off some of your bandwidth. And they're like, yeah, cool, whatever. And so now he has, I think, like 30-ish locations. The business is all around Tallahassee. He's actually talking to FSU, because notoriously when they have football games at the stadium, the signal is shit. And so they have these big outdoor, like massive towers that are weatherproof that you can put up that are much more expensive. And he's trying to negotiate with FSU, like, hey, as part of my business, could you come in and actually use these so that way you have better signal? Because what it does is create hotspots that are right there and immediate. And why the big companies like them to run a tower, many people don't realize this, but most of the actual cell companies don't own the towers. The towers operate much more like REITs, where somebody owns the tower because they own the physical property that it sits on, and then they're effectively leasing that tower back to T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, what have you. And so by having these sort of decentralized hotspots that allow people to come in and actually use that, like where there's missing signal, like sometimes you've been in wherever you are in the United States, the world, whatever, you get to these points where you might find that there's not enough signal. Having this kind of Helium setup allows you to cover those gaps. So in a decentralized manner, you're helping to kind of create greater 5G coverage. And this is why Helium's been doing so well. If you look up the other token, there's like a sub token that's called like MOB. If you look up mobile on the other one is IoT, I think it is, but there's two different tokens in the Helium network itself. But the mobile has had a really huge run up because people are running these nodes, and it is quite lucrative. So that's kind of the TLDR on what's happening with Helium and how it works. So I just wanted to give you guys that little bit of information because I stumbled into the conversation.
Yeah, is it like possible for somebody to like get one of these towers or get one of these hotspots now, or is it like harder? You mentioned like some print, others don't. So like there's a lot of conversation there, but it's interesting to me to kind of hear this. I don't know, this like discussion about, I guess, a couple of things. I think number one, hearing sort of like your discussion point about the sort of like this discussion point about like how the whole thing works. I did not know that towers are rented space, by the way, in that way. I just assumed they're already owned. But yeah, like that's an interesting one. How easy is it for someone to get a hold of like a hotspot for Helium nowadays, or is that hard to do?
I haven't ordered one in a long time. Like back when I ordered mine late 2020, it probably was like a 2-month procurement lag because they were running out of chips. And of course, that had probably something to do with the fact that COVID created all that semiconductor disruption and the supply chain shortage and stuff. And they couldn't produce the little boxes fast enough that were the nodes. There's several companies that make them now. And I think if you go to like the main Helium website, you can actually see which nodes are available. There's a difference, like a node that you would run in your house, I think probably costs like a couple $100 maybe tops. And then again, having certain things helps. Like if you are running in an apartment where you're higher up and have elevation, that certainly helps with just like your broadcast range. But it also helps or hinders, depending on, like Miami is a great example. Miami was the first place they piloted all this stuff for the mobile version of the 5G stuff that Helium's doing now. Miami is completely saturated. In fact, William was telling me that he knows the biggest provider of that, where he kind of cribbed that model. That guy makes $40,000 a month. He literally does not work anymore. He just does 2 days where he pays out all his vendors for all these businesses where he has the mobile hotspots, and then he just chills. But because there's so many nodes online, and if you weren't like one of those first movers, you're not going to have as big a return. Whereas if you can get into an area, like if you were looking right now where you're located, Steve, there might not be a whole lot in Ohio, right? And it might be something that you could go around and start doing. It may be the same for you, Cap, like where you are out, near the Gulf, right? So like it just depends on the area. And if you go on the mobile, on the Helium website, I think you can look and see where there's nodes around you, so you kind of get an idea for what the density looks like. The bigger tower pieces are probably, I want to say, like $600. And that doesn't include the installation. It's just like a much bigger, beefier unit that sits in like this enclosed kind of dark gray hard plastic shell. So, but yeah, I think if you go on the regular Helium website, you used to be able to see like the nodes, how much they cost, what kind of providers had them, and so on and so forth. I just don't know how long it would take to get one, like if you order one today, for instance.
I guess, like, even backing up a little bit, where do you see this going in the sense of like what other applications do you think could be similar? Like, so if we missed Helium, if we just didn't see Helium, right? Like we missed this one and we're not able to get involved now. What would you say to keep an eye on for the future if you are somebody who is a person who's like, all right, I didn't put a Helium hotspot in. Like, what other DePIN applications do you think are something that could potentially be interesting?
There was another one that William mentioned that he's really into. I want to say it was called DABA, DABBA. And I think they're doing a similar model to Helium, but it's in India. And I think somehow you like buy the nodes through DABA and they install them in critical locations in India to bring internet. I'd have to get with William to get you guys some better intel on this, because he mentioned it in passing, like the first night that William and I met, we were just chatting. He's like super into DePIN. And I think DePIN and RWAs are probably two of the biggest opportunities like right now in, our space moving forward, because it's just going to become, we're pretty early in both of those. And I think that there's probably a good 5 years of runway for what this looks like. I'm sure a lot of this stuff like tokenization stuff is going to get advanced by the time we get say 2030. But yeah, DABA, DABBA is something he mentioned. I can't give you more information about it other than what I just recall from the 2 minutes that he said when we were chatting about it. And there was some other app that's like doing a decentralized Airbnb maybe, but I have to get the name from him because I don't remember exactly what that name was. So I think a lot of these things where, like the other one that's more like a decentralized Airbnb is kind of allowing you to, get rid of, it's just another example of disintermediation, right? Like you're getting rid of that middleman because you don't want to pay Airbnb the fees, and you're creating like a decentralized network where people can sort of rent out their homes and stuff like that. And I think it's not even just homes. I think it'd be like if you had an event and you need to find like an event space, I think you could do that stuff through the app. I just don't remember the name of what he said it was, but I'll get that and I'll get that to you guys, the name of that one. But DABA is definitely one of them, DABBA, and I think that's the one in India providing internet.
It's not D-Travel, is it?
No, that didn't sound like it started with an S. I know it started with an S, but I can't remember. Hang on, let me look at his profile. It's William Ross X is his name. And he actually runs, believe it or not, you know that Wolf of X or whatever, like that. His handle is William Ross X _. And I bet maybe it's Silencio Network. That's like his pinned post. So yeah, he's talking about Helium like from 12 hours ago. He did a podcast. Like this dude, William Ross X, if you guys check him out, like he's got tons of information on this stuff. He's really big into DePIN. He was like I first met him at the Peak, PEAQ, right? You guys probably heard of Peak. That's actually running on the Polkadot network. I met him at Consensus last year for the first time at that Peak event. But he's super into DePIN stuff. So his feed will probably give you a lot of information. So maybe it's Silencio because I see him mention it several times. Yeah, because it even looks like in one of the pictures he's talking about Silencio with this Camino network, and it looks like there's property like where people are getting hotels or something like that. So yeah, definitely check out William. He's doing some great work, and he works for that Wolf of whatever it's called. He runs the crypto side, the one that's the orange wolf, not the blue one. But he does the spaces and stuff.
Interesting. Cap, I know you're looking at it right now. See, this is the type of stuff that like we need to open up blind spots for. So I'm glad we have someone like Funky who's like deep in the streets in this stuff. Like he's not necessarily going to come on and tell you about like the cool cats floor, but he's going to give you, I think, some deep sort of like, futuristic applications that actually are legitimate. And this stuff's interesting to me too, because I mean, there's two opportunities here. There's the opportunity to learn and be educated, which obviously is important to us, but there's also the opportunity to get involved, right?
Yeah, and this is just like this Silencio apparently it's their sound noise. Like but you start thinking about all the stuff we do, and a lot of it starts with our smartphone that we carry with us everywhere. And
that's what that Silencio is. Yeah, it's the one that gathers the data from like your phone. Yeah. Okay, so I gotta remember the other one. But there was some kind of like decentralized Airbnb he was talking about too.
It's just
I'll ask him.
It's just wild that there's so much. I don't know. Like it's like I need to put more thought to my thoughts here on this, but like the idea of all sharing bandwidth or giving access, like we were talking like the whole 23andMe and how they sold our DNA data. Like there's so much that we do and use every day on our phones primarily that it's valuable. The information is valuable in the collective sense. Like the collective data is very valuable to a lot of these businesses. And that's my like TLDR. I'm not putting my words together well this morning, Steve, but that's the big takeaway for me on this Helium thing is I think it could lead to an additional wave of innovation on the DePIN front, on just this idea of the users sharing in the upside and the revenue stream of a lot of things that previously was really limited to, in the case of the wireless business, like Fortune 100 companies. Like it was previously limited to, only the largest incumbents were going to compete. Like you just simply could, no startup was going to go out there and just start buying wireless spectrum and start up their own wireless network. Now this stuff is even like the fact that it's even possible today is pretty wild. If you just think about what it's doing in the space it's competing in, and wireless is just one industry.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Why couldn't this go across all many other industries? That just the power of a decentralized network is so much more than just decentralized finance.
Well, and this is like to a point. I know you said like you're kind of making the DeFi comparison, but like to a lot of ways, this is sort of the I would say this is sort of like what you get with not just like decentralized we talk about decentralized just this versus centralized finance, but I think in a lot of ways like this is sort of the how stable coins work, right? Like the whole idea of stable coins is that when you put your money in a bank, they keep all the money and you get a little bit of yield, right? Just a little tiny bit, a kiss of yield. But then you get a stable coin, you get like you had PayPal talking about a 3.7% yield. Well, they're using that money to get themselves a 7 or 8% yield, but they send you 3% of it and you think that you're getting a great deal. It's like, this is the idea, is that I think one of the things that crypto wanted to do that is going to successfully do in these sort of applications is decentralizing power and opportunity a lot more. And by that, I mean the idea that like stable coins is a perfect example. It's like, if I put my money in a bank and earn a small percentage or have to lock it up to get a certain amount of yield, right? Have to lock it up for a period of time in like a CD. Well, I can get that yield in a stable coin and pull it out tomorrow. Like that's a company, a large company, instead of owning all of the money there, sharing it with you, right? Like that's how they sort of make the money for you and give you back that yield. And, they use your money to do that and they continue to grow and stay stable. They back with, US dollars a lot of times, or like algorithmic stable coins, however you look at it. I think this is very much the same thing and just with a different hat on, which is they are able to do a decentralized sort of wireless service, and they pay you in a native token, but they provide a service that everybody is able to use. And to me, like that is interesting. Like that is interesting to see, the usage of making money in these different ways, sharing it through as a business and letting people be more involved in it. And it's like, at some point, again, stablecoins, using it as an example here, at what point do I use my bank if my bank is going to be taking, giving me a very small percentage versus using a stablecoin and earning a higher percentage for something that stays steady? I think it's very much the same. And decentralizing these opportunities, like, is an opportunity for, sort of like it's this circular economy. You pay for your wireless service. You have a helium, puck in your house that gets you, that puts you on sort of the network, and you get tokens back. And it's like getting a little bit of a discount on your, it's almost like gaming. We talk about gaming in the same way. Like I can play a game, earn a little bit. Do I expect to outpace what I pay to play that game? No, but it's like if I pay $50 for a game and I earn a couple dollars here and there while I'm playing, like that's better than not earning a couple dollars while I'm playing. And I feel like I'm getting something back, and the best people can sort of make money on it. So I guess like I'm probably not articulating it well, but I think the crypto economy in general opens up those decentralized opportunities that we previously maybe didn't have. And that excites me to think about like what those could mean for me, you, and other people, where it's like we all could have devices in our house that pay us a small percentage. And yeah, eventually it's going to be like Bitcoin, where the money goes down and down and down and you're only making a little bit. But so what? If you're paying $100 for your wireless service or whatever it is, and you're getting $27 back every couple of months, like that's better than nothing. Like it's like getting a rebate. So I don't know if this tracks, but that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, no, tracks indeed. I know we're pushing up close to 10 o'clock. I saw Chef Poncho jumped up on stage here. I believe he's got a mint going on today. If you want to, anything else you want to get into, I thought we'd kick him the mic for a minute and give us a quick TLDR.
No, that works.
Chef GM.
Hey, GM, Captain Steve, good to see you. Yeah, we got a mint live. It's the board bubblegum machine, which is a NFT version of what we had at Ape Fest. You remember the IRL bubblegum machine? Well, you put the token in. We've got the Poncho Poppins two-headed token because apes have no tails, and you give it a spin, get your DGen vibes going. I figured this is the right network to go on, and try to win those prizes. But in the end, you're left with a utility token, a gumball with many traits, with traits by Jacobo, I Draw Animation, and it's a tradable NFT collection. And we are planning with Poppin Foods to do IRL activations at your different NFT conferences, NFT NYC, and of course Ape Fest. Got some plans brewing for that already, and yeah, this is the way to get in. It's 5,555 tokens, 34.8 ape, because we've got our MBA license 348, and just trying to launch out there and get some attention on this mint.
Awesome. Well, good luck with it today. 34 ape, that's about 17, 18 bucks out today after the recent run up. So
very affordable.
Good one to support out there and get an NFT. I Draw Animation, one of our favorites, designed the flyer and did a sweet graphic for Steven, myself, for ApeCon recently. And you said 88 prize tokens, is that right?
Yeah, there's when you like a regular gumball machine, a little plastic acorn will come out on occasion, and you're trying to win this prize. And so we've got NFTs, like we've got G's on Ape, we've got shapes, we've got portals, Spunkies, other NFT collections, Pixel Pals, as well as 5 gold gumballs with Poncho's image on it, which represent IRL gumball machines that you can win. And we're customizing a Poncho Poppins gumball machine, and we have the ability to do the printing of ape on the gumballs, as and then we've got, of course, the Poncho token, because apes have no tails. It's a two-headed token.
Awesome. I just picked up 3 as we were speaking, so minted 3 myself. Excited to kind of continue to see what you're building, and happy to support there. And like you said, I mean, this is one of the things we love about Ape Chain, is that there are mints that I think you can afford. I think a lot of mints, it's like, like we see some of the other ones, and look, like we mint them too. We minted and partnered with Think, and that was a $400+ mint. It was not cheap. But it was, something we believed in, obviously. But at the same time, like, it's nice to go to a place like Ape Chain and be like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to grab a mint, and it's going to cost me 15, 16 bucks. It's like going out to breakfast and grabbing a cup of coffee and some scrambled eggs, and grab that and, do something pretty cool and a cool activation, and love myself a good spin of a good old gumball machine. So, still have the token that you had given me. I know you gave me one to use and one to keep when we were at Ape Fest. So, still have that, and yeah, excited. So I just minted 3, no problem. Easy mint for me to do, and very, very cool concept.
I saw that, speaking of Ape Chain and mints, I missed it, but I saw this morning that Frosty had a mint go out last night. To your point of affordable, it was 1 ape, and it minted out pretty quickly, and I think it's trading at I want to say like 100, maybe 200 ape floor. It was doing well when I checked earlier this morning. But congrats to Frosty.
Yeah, this is the way. I think, like, again, this is like the part we talked about, the Gary V flips earlier, where someone buys a $99 pack, which is expensive for most people, $99 card box, or a $55 hat, which is not a cheap thing for a lot of people. But you flip it for 30, 40, 50 bucks. And I think very similar. You talk about the Frosty mint that happened. Shout out to Frosty, by the way. Appreciate Frosties. But like you see that, and you're like, okay, like I minted for 1 ape, made 60 bucks, right? It's like that's a very normal, like, that is still a crazy print for a lot of people in the real world. For us in this world, it seems not a lot, because again, we won't pick up a $200 airdrop off the sidewalk because it's not worth our time, like for a lot of people in Web3. And for those people outside of Web3, like, this is a big one. So yeah, like minted this one, easy mint for me to do. And yeah, we will continue to ride forward on that one. But yeah,
Well,
I think
so
but
appreciate it.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, so appreciate it. But this is sort of the entry point to IRL experiences. We've got things planned in Vegas. We're a food company, so we're about breaking bread across Web3. We're trying to reach out to all the different communities to like get together, break bread, figure things out, get to know each other over food. And we've got activations coming up in New York and Vegas, but we've also already been to East Denver and NFT NYC and a couple other things where we handed out cookies and other things just to, get the word out. And so I really appreciate some time here today. And always a great show. You guys still rocking it after all these years. 4 years. Oh my God.
We have a disease, but we're here. We make it happen every day. I don't know what it is. I had the thought the other day. I'm like, man, would anybody care if I just took a Friday off or took a Monday off? And nobody would, but I would. People probably wouldn't care, but it's like, I don't know. I like being dependable. I like the fact that even if people are hanging out on like Thanksgiving morning and they want to get away from their family for an hour, we're here. Christmas, whatever days. I should be on Christmas this year because we planned our trip a little bit differently that we do at the end of the year. So that'll be good. But yeah, I got to figure out if I'm going to be streaming from my car when I go on vacation in July, and bring my laptop out if the Wi-Fi reaches, because I can't wake up a house at 25 people.
Maybe you need a helium pod or a helium plan, Steve.
Yeah, I do. That's exactly what I need. Helium, or maybe get myself a Starlink that I could just toss in my car, a little puck there, and get it going. But I may be audio only on that one, which might make it weird. But we'll do our best. Maybe I'll log in my computer, mute it inside so that people can at least see my PFP on the stream, and we can get it working. But that'll be an interesting experiment, because I think that'll be our first time since streaming. The one thing about streaming that like we haven't done is, we haven't done an event since we started streaming. We started streaming after NFT Paris, and it's been a few months, like streaming live on video. So we're gonna have to figure out like how we do this thing when we're in NFT NYC. I'm probably skipping consensus. I was gonna apply, but like it's too tight with some family stuff, so I'm probably gonna end up skipping consensus in Toronto, as much of a bummer as that is. NFT NYC is still in the plans, but we'll definitely try to see if we can get it going with NFT NYC. And like, do we stream from our hotels? Do we travel with our roadcaster? Do we pack less stuff so it fits? I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that out. I need to get on the roadcaster train and test that out though, at some point here, because I should probably do like a few reps where I run roadcaster from this, and then that way we have that for both sides just in case. But we'll see. But that's inside baseball stuff. So, Kev, I know we are closing in on the 10 o'clock hour. I think we covered most of the news. Pretty packed news in general. We didn't hit on the NFT rips. I think it's just another thing about NFT grails mattering. Tyler Hobbs, 140 ETH sale. The rare Pepe Nakamoto card, 70 ETH sale. CryptoPunk sale for 50 ETH. So those are going. We talked about the PENGU rip. We talked about the SWE rip. We talked about, Tether yesterday with the 10% stake in Juventus. So we don't need to go back and relitigate that one or talk about that one. Pretty cool. AT&T we talked about with Helium Network. So I think we've kind of hit on everything going today so far. Drew Crit asking for the return on the PENGU because it's actually up right now. I saw that B Epic tipped USD earlier and said can't tip PENGU anymore. It's ripping too hard, which I very much can appreciate. That's a very honest concern. Hopefully, I want to get to a world where people don't want to tip PENGU because it's ripping up so hard, because then I will be happy with my bags. But Cap, any other thoughts or anything before we skedaddle out of here?
Enjoy the weekend. Good week. Appreciate everyone who tuned in. We'll be back Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern. For those of you that didn't get enough NFL draft talk, this is the funnest night of the draft, I think, tonight. So enjoy your Friday night NFL draft season, and good luck as they actually, I don't think they start the BBM, the Best Ball Mania, until next week, but good luck out there. Any of your DJing streets this weekend. Good luck to all, and enjoy your weekends.
Yeah,
Touch some
hoping to see some
You can
cash
actually touch grass now. You don't have to worry about going out and touching grass and your bags being at 0 by the time you come back inside. I think that we're out of those days, so hopefully no red candles that dump your bags 90% over the course of a nap. So in the clear, it feels.
It feels pretty good, but we'll see. You never know. There's always, like I keep saying, like the looming conversation about, trade stuff always is there and can drop at any moment, and that can definitely hit the markets. But at least at the moment, it feels like we can breathe at least for a minute and see what happens as we go. But that said, Cap, let's send everybody off into their weekend. Appreciate everyone. We will talk to everybody bright and early Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.